All right, we call our Tuesday, February 6th City Council meeting to order. We will have Pledge of Allegiance and invocation by Madam Vice Chair Hill.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Move to the agenda, Madam Chair.
All right, thank you so much. We don't have any special presentations today. However, I did want to say happy birthday to our fellow Councilwoman Marvine Knoll. Happy birthday to you. Yeah, I don't sing happy birthday, but happy birthday. You know we love you. Yes, yes. Can I have an approval on the minutes? All right, minutes stand without objection. All right, council, we have a short agenda today. If you would take a look at that agenda, ordinances on the final read and legal. Any comments or questions, please hit your light. Ordinance on the first reading, none. All right, resolutions under council office, item A. Any comments or questions? All right, Madam Vice Chair, followed by Councilman Smith.
I have heard that this possibly will be deferred. Is that the case?
I will defer to Councilman Smith.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I was going to bring up that, as all of you know, that the County Commission's meeting last week had opted to defer this 1 week beyond what we had expected. Mm-hmm. And so I will be making the motion this evening, if it pleases the council, to defer this for 1 week as well, okay, just in case there are any changes between what we would be voting on tonight and what is actually presented next week. So I will be asking that it be deferred for just 1 week, if it pleases the council.
That works. Then we'll be looking for that deferral, looking for that motion this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Take a look on the economic development, items B through E. And if you have any comments or questions, hit your light. In council, I will be taking those as a group. Let me know if there's any items that need to be pulled out or if there are any objections. All right. Under human resources, any comments or questions regarding those items? All right, the mayor's office, we have we have an appointment and reappointment. Is Ryan here, or Chris, to come down and talk to us about our chief financial officer?
Good afternoon, council.
No.
We are very excited about putting before you the confirmation of Javed Majid. Javed is currently the Senior Debt Administrator for Salt Lake County, Utah, and after an extensive search, he is who we are putting forward for the city's Chief Financial Officer. I would be remiss first to not thank Miss Vicki Haley for standing in and doing a fantastic job ever since Brent Goldberg left us for UTC. Vicki thought she was taking the helm for a short couple months, and that couple months has taken a much longer time. And so we thank Vicki. She has been wanting to retire for quite some time. She has kept holding on, and so we just thank her for her continued service to the city. She's agreed to stay on during Javed's transition, which we're very thankful for. And so we are excited about Javed's many years of experience. He's got over 35 years of financial experience in Salt Lake County. He actually was offered the deputy role here in 2018 and turned it down, but now his son has moved to Atlanta, and so he is interested in moving his whole family here, and so we are very excited to offer him this position. And we humbly seek your confirmation here. He is available on the screen here virtually if council has any questions for him. And Jav, if you want to come on video so they can see your face there. So council, if you have any questions for Javed.
Yes, we do. Councilman Ledford.
Well, I just wanted to say welcome aboard. Obviously, we got to get through this tough vote this evening, but we're very excited. We hear great things. And you've got some awful big shoes to fill with Miss Haley. So Vicky's been a staple and where is she? Where are you? There you are. An incredible foundational pillar in this role. So just know that we'll be looking for you, and wish you all the best.
Thank you very much, and Honorable Madam Chair and Vice Chair. And Mayor, I'm very excited about this opportunity and looking forward to serve this city. So waiting for your confirmation, and I will be very honored and very grateful.
All right, thank you. Council, any other questions? Councilman Ledford, thank you so much. All right, Ryan, seems like you're getting off a little scot-free today. All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah. All right, council. If you would take a look at next week's proposed agenda items. Do you have any comments or questions? Please hit your light. Councilwoman Knoll.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question for, on the early learning on the next week's proposed agenda, item J, and if Brooke can come up and help me with that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Councilman Knoll. So we are working on getting the caption corrected, but the second portion where it is discussing the increase of approved services for the Head Start program for Purpose Point Learning Academy, the last number at the very end, you'll see $777,000. That is actually supposed to be $280,929.48. So there was just a quick math error in the caption, but we'll get that corrected by next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Under Mayor's Office, item A, Chris, you know I've been extremely interested in the Board of Sign Appeals, and as I was driving in recently, I was watching my appointee drive out to brave the traffic downtown to fulfill that duty, and I think it was extremely light again. So can you give me some good news on this?
Well, we've got some great news for him if he's trying to drive less. So she must be one of the remaining 5.
Yes, and
Council,
she stuck it out since my first term, so yeah, you can see where I'm at.
And we have 5 members currently of BOZA, members of the council. As most of you are aware or have heard, we've had issues with some personality conflicts on this board. And we've had 4 resignations in the last few months from it, so we have an issue maintaining quorum. That led us as an administration into looking at the efficiency of these boards that are maintained by the LDO. The same staff covers the Board of Construction Appeals, the Board of Zoning Appeals, and the Board of Sign Appeals. The only one that meets after hours at 5 p.m., necessitating staff to stay late, is the Board of Sign Appeals. They have between 1 and 3 cases most months. Some months they have 0. Several months out of the year, they have 0. We would like to eliminate the Board of Sign Appeals for efficiency's sake and route all of those cases to the Board of Zoning Appeals. I've already spoken at Councilman Ledford's suggestion with the chair of BOZA, also a Councilman Ledford appointment. And Scott McCulpin, is completely ready to take on these, 1 to 3 cases a month or sometimes 0. He feels prepared. The staff is ready for this. It's the same division of LDO that staffs it. It's the same literal person that staffs it most months. So this is just an efficiency move, and that is the 1-page bill that's sitting in front of you. 2 pages with Madam Chair's signature line.
All right.
So, in a little history on that, we tried this once before in my first term and met with some opposition. So I am super glad to see this administration and you actually leading this into a much more efficient process. And I'm really, so I want to say thank you to BOZA for willing to take on that extra duty. Sometimes their meetings get a little long, but they have said they would be willing to do that, and I think that's just super.
Yes, we appreciate them. And as a reminder, all of our board members for each and every one of our 51, soon to be 50, boards and commissions are unpaid. I'm reaching out to the 5 remaining members of BOSA and trying to find other ways for them to serve in a board capacity at the city of Chattanooga.
All right, thank you, Chris. And Councilman Henderson? I'm sorry, Councilman Ledford?
I'm good, thank you.
All
This is great news, great news.
All right, thank you. Councilman Henderson?
Well, we need to finish, this is.
Separate, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
we need to finish
Any
this.
Okay, any questions for Chris? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate you. All right, Councilman Henderson.
So I wanted to bring up questions about next week's agenda under ordinances, under 8B, the Parks and Outdoors, the skate ordinance. I did not think we were moving forward with it. Maybe I misunderstood at our last work session. I guess I was a little surprised to see it on the agenda.
Okay.
Can you give me a follow-up, or are we proceeding? Have there been some changes to what we discussed in our strategic planning?
All right, I'll defer to Madam Vice Chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this showed back up on the agenda because it had been tabled, and had asked for it to come back up on this day prior to the work session. When it appears, I will ask just to strike it or withdraw it probably. My thoughts since our work session are that I am considering breaking this ordinance into two pieces for consideration by council. One, to address the decriminalization of skateboarding and rollerblading within the overlay as in the ordinance, current ordinance. And the second, to give the council an opportunity to consider if we want to recalibrate the safety standards that we have for use of rollerblades and skateboards and other devices in the city. And I'm also considering a third, an actual resolution related to the council's commitment to investing in improved infrastructure for multimodal transportation in the future. But I need to do some research on what our Complete Streets ordinance includes that was passed, several years ago. But I think based on our conversations, it sounds like part of the hesitancy about establishing safety standards for use of rollerblades and skateboards is a lack of infrastructure. And so we have some real chicken and the egg issues happening. And so I'm going to try to get us a chicken and an egg and see which of, if any, this council is interested in moving forward with. That's all.
All right, thank you so much. All right, answers your question. All right. All right, council, any other questions about next week's proposed agenda? All right, if you take a look at purchases, we have 7 purchases and 1 renewal. Any comments or questions? Okay, and then future considerations, any comments or questions, please hit your light. All right, not seeing any. We have 2 committees today. Do we have an attorney-client? No, ma'am. All right, no attorney-client today. I'll tell you, it's a great day. All right, so we just have Parks and Public Works Committee as well as Planning and Zoning Committee. I will turn this over to Councilman Hester.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We accept the minutes. Welcome to Parks and Public Works Committee. Madam Clerk, ordinance on first reading, 8B, please.
An ordinance amending Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 26, Section 26-4, Chapter 24, Section 24-10, and Chapter 25, Section 25-28, relative to skates, skateboarding, scooters, and similar devices.
Okay, we did discuss that matter.
You want us to take it off the agenda for next week, or how do you want us to deal with that?
If you'd like to go ahead and take it off for next week, that'd be fine.
Okay, do that, and then tell us when you want to bring it back.
Yeah, I'm thinking sometime in March.
Okay, all right.
8J, please.
An ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 24, Article 14, Sections 24-501 and 24-502, relating to speed on through streets.
See no hands. 9S, please.
A resolution authorizing the Administrator for the Department of Public Works to authorize change order number 1 for design services provided by Weiser Consultants for the Hamilton Place Boulevard Modifications Project, T-18-009, T.Pin 127492 1.00 for an increase in the amount of $13,745.00.
That concludes Parks and Public Works Committee. To Ross, to Ben, guys, keep up the good work, and all others. And to those with parks and outdoors, keep up the good work. Thank you. And next. Chair left.
All right. The moment you have all been waiting for. Planning and Zoning Committee, I welcome you to our February 6th. I will take a motion on the minutes.
Second.
Minutes will stand without objection. Ms. Rennick, we have 7 cases to cover today. If we want to cover those, 3 with opposition, which we will definitely cover, and an ADU update that has run through Planning Commission and now landed on our doorstep. Karen, which, do you have 0014 queued up first?
I do. If I could just mention, if anyone's here and interested, we have a case that's requested for withdrawal. It's case 2024-0010. That's in District 5. The applicant contacted Councilman Hester and myself and just mentioned that he would like to withdraw, and that was one of the cases that had opposition. It's D on the agenda. So just note that.
Thank you.
Okay, starting with the first case, this is in Kelly's Ferry Road on Lookout Valley, request to rezone for R1 to R2 to demolish an existing structure and construct a new duplex. North of Kelly's Ferry Road is R1 in this section, it's that light yellow color. South of Kelly's Ferry Road is R2, which is the orange color. It's kind of a mix. Even though the property is zoned R1 north of Kelly's Ferry, there is multi-unit residential and then some single-unit residential. We're thinking that was developed prior to annexation. And then there's 2-unit residential south of Kelly's Ferry. There's no recent zoning history for the site. And the area plan recommends low-density residential for the site. But there are goals in the plan that staff felt it was important to note for housing that states that residents want a greater variety of housing opportunities, particularly for young families and senior citizens, in order to improve housing mix and provide alternatives for affordable housing. So while there's not a specific recommendation for this use in that zone north of Kelly's Ferry, there are some goals talking about diversity of housing. However, since the request is not compatible with the plan, and staff noted that 2 units could be developed as a single-family unit and an attached ADU or detached ADU, which would seem to meet the goals of the project. Staff recommended denial. Staff did flag for the applicant that there is an ADU amendment proposed. We'll talk to briefly in a few minutes, just to have them aware and have that information as they're making a decision. There was opposition present at Planning Commission. There's a property, there's a driveway that runs by the site to property to the rear. That neighbor is just interested in whether he would still have access during construction, still be able to use the driveway, and then what would happen with utilities. There was some discussion between the applicant and that person at Planning Commission. Planning Commission determined there's a need for missing middle housing, and the request is compatible with the land uses and form and recommends approval.
Councilman Henderson, I see your light, sir.
Hey, Karen, I don't know if you can go back and expand the zoning map. If you kind of look north there a little bit, there's just a little bit of that peach or whatever color that is showing up. Is there anything that's R2 on the east side of?
I'm looking for my notes to see if we said anything. I don't have in my notes how far east there is till you get to another R2 or a different zone, but I'm happy to have a map for next week that shows that.
Yeah, I would like to know that, because it appeared to me that kind of Kelly's Ferry was the hard line for the R2, but I want to make sure, because when you jump that line, then you've got to, I guess, establish another hard line at some point, because if you back up going west, then you start getting into, commercial, which obviously R2 is a good phase into the R1. And the zoning history, I was also told but something you said conflicted that, or that there's no zoning history. So this was never an R2?
We don't have recent zoning history, so we as staff talked about, because there is multi-unit residential nearby, that perhaps there was another zone prior to annexation into the city. But that was, we don't have, we can dig down and see if those were uses that were allowed under zoning in the unincorporated county, and when they got annexed in, it got
Okay, since it's
changed.
been in the city, it's never been R2?
We don't have any history that it was.
Okay, all right, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Any other questions, comments on 0014? Karen, I know we have, our next on our list, 0010 is going to be withdrawn, so we're not going to go there. You have 0013, but I do want to touch on 0011, item E, 0016, item F,
Okay.
in the absence of Dr. Burrs,
Okay.
who couldn't be with us today. So if you'll allow me, there were a couple of comments that I have been made aware of on 0011, item E. Dr. Burrs was looking for and working with the developer for more information regarding, I think, some renderings or some sort of drawings related to working with the architect that are still missing in action. So I want to make sure that is noted. Did try to call the architect and see how we would word that, but did not get a response. So
Should I reach out to the applicant and
I
ask them?
would.
Okay.
I would. Thank you. The second one is an item F0016. This is something that we heard Dr. Burrs talk about and had conversations with the developer in creating not just conversions of motels, but creating quality housing opportunities for folks, including the addition of 2 and 3 bedroom. And I just want to make note that in the beginning, the conversation seemed to have been going rather well. And they seemed to really sign on with the product or the idea that this council was interested in quality and not just doors. And I think it makes a difference in the quality of life of our citizens as well. So it feels, without throwing a lot of information around, that conversation has broken down. So I just wanted to make that a note to council, and Dr. Burrs did want me to relay that to you all. And that is a very concerning item for her as we move forward with this case. So just keep that in mind. I want to make sure that was noted for the record.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you would, let's go to G0013. This is in Madam Chair's district.
Okay. And this one had an email received in opposition regarding height, and I don't think it's particularly applicable here based on the context, but I'll go through it briefly. It's a request to rezone from RTZ to Urban General Commercial Zone. It is a little pocket of RTZ surrounded by manufacturing in purple and UGC in red. Central Avenue is to the right, and it's next to the Burnside development. So the applicant wants to develop multi-unit residential, and there is a mix of uses in the area, and the plan does support higher intensity housing. Staff felt UGC was appropriate at this location based on the zoning pattern. So the concern about height, UGC is capped at 5 stories. There is a rendering kind of showing what they're doing, but just gives you an idea of the height of the building that's currently there. So just to kind of get a feel for that in relationship to the opposition. Staff did recommend approval. Planning Commission too had similar findings that this was in line with the plan and surrounding form and is recommending approval.
Madam Chair.
Yes, Karen, so the height here, they're gonna do 2 stories, or what is it?
It's, without a condition, it would be capped at 5 stories.
Capped at 5, okay. That's fine, thank you.
Questions or comments? Not seeing any. Karen, I don't have any other cases with opposition. You want to go ahead and move into our ADU?
This is a little bit of a opportunity to remind you of our 1-year review, and this was sent out in December, but I have handouts which I didn't get to you sooner, but just so you have those as we went through. Just as a reminder, when council adopted the accessory dwelling unit, there was a requirement for one-year review. Emily Wood, on staff, was the lead on the project and did a full review, and this is her work with the support of Darren Gilkinson. I just wanted to highlight a few things. This was sent to you in December by Emily, so most of it probably does look familiar. But just to note that in the first year the ADU ordinance was in place, 41 total units were permitted, 20% attached, 80% detached, and quite a few were under construction when we finalized the report, so by now we probably could go back and glean a few more things from it. But the report goes into great detail about what people who developed ADUs, what some of their concerns were, any recommendations for changing code, what was working well. One person did comment that they were able to work with their district council member and that they're pretty satisfied with the ordinance, but there is more detail there. Because we're going to be talking about some changes to the ADU, I just wanted to flip through some slides briefly, which show some constructed ADUs. So these are ones that were finished when we finalized the product, so there's still quite a few that are under construction. This is an attached ADU. This is the rear alley view. There is a kind of a side view of the house and the attached ADU in the report. The rest of them are detached as we go through. This is again from the rear alley. This is from the side. The ADU is that new construction in the light green. This is the principal dwellings on the front on Pierce Avenue. You can see a little bit of the detached ADU in the backyard here. It's a dark color. This is showing that detached ADU from Blackford Street. Another detached ADU. So this is also trying to get an idea of the scale and types that are out there. Principal dwellings on Bragg. This one's kind of in the side backyard. Another detached ADU. And so that was just to give you an idea of what we're seeing out there. It's not the comprehensive list. We can update it. It's been several months since we went out and took pictures, so we can update those and send those if you're interested. But that's just to give you an idea. The one-year review, there were some staff recommendations. This was in conjunction with LDO. I'll go through them. One's removing the annual review. I'll talk about the first four, changing the maximum square footage, 2 changes to make for a standard clear for enforcement, and then moving definitions. I'm not going to speak too much about moving definitions. That's just moving them out of this section of the zoning ordinance to the definition section so they don't get lost. The annual review, Vice Chair Hill mentioned this morning on a call about a red line, so I tried to set this up as a red line. Also sent a memo to council this morning that had a red line document, if that's easier to look at. And I don't know if that got to you, but I can resend it if needed. The current ordinance says an annual review will only be required for the first year of the ordinance adoption. Since that has happened, we're just recommending removing the language. Another one is for standard clear for permit review. It talks about removing and replacing, but really the only change is to be clear that if an ADU is attached, it must have an entrance on a side yard or rear yard. There has been, during the public process, I thought the property next door to me was denied for an R2, but they're building a duplex. Well, the intention was to be a little bit clear. It's a single-family home. It's an accessory use to single-family home. So the ADU has a side or rear yard entrance. And that's just to clarify that was at a request of LDO. Probably the substantive change is increasing the maximum square footage requirement for 700 feet to 800 feet. This is happening in the kind of the standard zoning ordinance, but also the form-based code. We've kind of barred the 700-foot maximum from form-based code, but during the review, we had a recommendation. Planning Commission did ask staff to draft up the 800 square foot change. I think Councilman Ledford had some discussions on that, so that is moving forward. There is, Vice Chair Hill noted that we had language in there that seemed to imply that with an ADU conversion, you needed to meet both the minimum and maximum standard, minimum and maximum of 800 feet. Staff is recommending we change that the ADU must meet the standards, including a maximum of 800 square feet. That's just a typo on our part. We apologize for that. There's also a change to form-based code. So again, form-based code would go to 800 square feet. It's pretty much the same measurement dimensions and what's included in the square footage. And then accessory dwelling units are very similar to detached small buildings. This is just to be clear that this language in the zoning ordinance doesn't apply to ADUs. And again, this was at the request of LDO just for clarity's sake. And again, the definitions are moving, but there's no change to the language of the definitions.
Very good. So let me say thank you also. Madam Vice Chair was also, I think, suggesting the 800 square feet, and was something that we had both kind of picked up on. So thank you for suggesting that. In addition, supporting that change. We heard a lot from developers, and when you live and you learn. And the 700 was a bit restrictive in some of the products they were able to build and demand and the actual usefulness. And I think 750 came around first, and we landed on 800 because we think that's probably where it will be more beneficial and more desirable to build in the city.
And we heard that allowed for the 2-bedroom, 1-bath option.
Correct.
It enabled that needed housing to happen.
Yeah, so I think we landed on a great compromise there in moving that up. Council, we've moved this through Planning Commission. Are there any other questions about the ADU changes? I'm not seeing any. So Karen, I think anything else you want to add before I close with some closing remarks? All right, very good. Did want to say hello to Gracie Shamlin from Congressman Fleischman's office. She's checking in on us from the federal level. Thank you very much. We doing okay? Great. Better than they do in Washington?
Yeah.
All right. That's what we wanted to hear. Mr. Dooley, am I missing anything?
I think you're good.
Okay. I appreciate you checking in on me. I do have one comment from Councilwoman Coonrod on an unrelated agenda item. Councilwoman Coonrod, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Ryan, got a question, and 2 questions too. We 13 months out before it'll be time for April to come around and it'll be a new election cycle. Do you have any idea, can you give us an update? Because Mr. Dunn has served as interim for quite some time. He got 13 months left. Things can change next year. So I know we've made a couple of appointments. This one is kind of different because it does require for council to confirm him. So when we have an update, if he will be the person, or will you resubmit the job out for people to apply for?
Yeah, it's a work in progress. We hope to be talking to council members about that very soon.
What soon? Because we've been told this for quite some time now.
Yeah, in the coming weeks.
Coming months.
Weeks.
Coming weeks, okay. And then another question that I just realized here on the mayor's office about the appointments and of the housing authority public safety officers. Is there any way like we could, I don't know how much we go into working with them, but there needs to be something done, or I don't know if it's a policy change, but they put fathers on trespassing. And when you think about the housing developments, how many parents they're raising their kids, and to say that the fathers are put on a trespassing law and list, and it could be for any reason, a tail light was out. It could be now if it's something that they've committed a heinous crime, they still should be allowed to come see their parents, their children. No woman should be left alone trying to tend to the kids and the dad's not able to come on the property because of this. So if you can just look into it or direct me to who I need to talk to about it.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. I have another comment for Councilman Hester. I see you have the floor, sir.
Right.
Is this planning and zoning related?
It's not planning, it's zoning related.
Okay, we're in planning and zoning committee.
Yes, it's right.
If you have something you can direct towards Ryan on the side, I would really like to say.
I shall.
Okay.
I shall.
Very good, thank you. Are there any questions or comments while we are in planning and zoning committee? Then I will take us into recess. Madam Chair, what time would you like to have us return?
4:30.
We will return at 4:30. We are in recess. Thank you.